Hello and welcome to Learning with Lulu. So in this video we are going to be doing a poetry analysis of Percy Bysshe Shelley's Ozymandias poem. So per usual, I'm going to just read through the poem itself, and then on the second reading we'll actually begin to dissect it and pull it apart a little bit, and go over some concepts to consider that I find being kind of asked by this poem or brought up in this poem. So, Ozymandias. I met a traveler from an antique land who said, "Two vast and trunkless lakes of stone stand in the desert. Near them, on the sand, half sunk, a shattered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that its sculptor well those passions read, which yet survive, stamped on these lifeless things, the hand that mocked them and the heart that fed. And on the pedestal these words appear, my name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and brave, the lone and level sands stretch far away." Okay, so as just kind of an overview, so the poem is from a narrator who says he met a man while he was traveling who saw a broken statue in the middle of the desert sands, and he told him what the pedestal said for the statue and described the statue itself to our narrator. And that's, on surface level, all that seems to be there. Now, just with the title though, so Ozymandias, it's the Greek name for Ramses II. And in my anthology, it has the footnote. According to Diodorus Siculus, Greek historian of the 1st century BCE, the largest statue in Egypt had the inscription, "I am Ozymandias, King of Kings. If anyone wishes to know what I am and where I lie, let him surpass me in some of my exploits." Ozymandias was the Greek name for Ramses II of Egypt, 13th century BCE. So that's who Ozymandias is, the King of Kings. So, just starting with the first line, I met a traveler from an antique land who said, "Two vast and trunkless lakes of stone." By trunkless, it means without a torso. So there is no body with it. There's just these legs. And I want to point out the fact that it's just the legs, they're pointless. And they're of stone, so there's this pointlessness to them. They can't do their job. They didn't do their job. It's just stationary. It's stagnant. Stand in the desert. Near them on the sand, half sunk, a shattered visage lies. Now a visage is like someone's face. And I want you to just kind of consider, especially with the lines that follow, that the shattered can be taken both literally, as in like the stone itself is shattered, but also more kind of figuratively. The description of this face, of this visage, is not someone who appears as having a full life, a happy life. So yeah, it can be kind of maybe literal, but also figurative in that it's shattered. Visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell. I want you to notice, so it says the frown, the lip, the sneer, these are all things having to do with the mouth, but it's made of stone, so they can't actually verbally tell. It's showing, it's more showing, but we're using that kind of interchangeably with tell. that its sculptor, well those passions read, which yet survive or outlive, stamped on these lifeless things. So in the previous line, it says those passions, and then in this line it says lifeless. I want you to notice that juxtaposition. Those are two completely different sides of a spectrum. They're the binaries. We have obviously the original thing, the person that this was sculpted after was full of passion, it says. But all that's left now in this stone, it's lifeless. There is nothing of that original actual passion left. It's only been able to be captured by this artist. The hand that mocked them and the heart that fed. I want you to notice that alliteration of the H's. And the hand is not belonging to the same person that the heart belongs to. So the hand is the hand of the artist, of the sculptor, that's mocking this person with this sneer and this frown, who's obviously very passionate about their own power. And the heart that fed, so someone, this Ozymandias, their greed, their pride, and this piece of art, this sculpture, is to feed that pride in their heart. And again, that alliteration of the H's kind of helps point that out to us. And on the pedestal, these words appear. My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains. Now that's kind of key. There are a lot of ancient cultures whose things still are around. I mean, think of Roman things. Like I'm pretty sure in England, some of the roads that are still used are simply just where people have been walking and driving carts for centuries upon centuries. So Roman things still exist, and especially in Rome itself. But there's nothing left of this King of Kings. Nothing beside remains. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, and wreck here, the W is capitalized. We capitalize things that are the epitome of something. For some people, when they're referencing God in biblical things, sometimes whether it's just the pronoun of like he or him, they'll capitalize it because it's representing the God, the epitome of something. With like truth or beauty, sometimes people will capitalize either that T or the B to show that they're talking about the absolute of that. And in this case, it's the absolute of a wreck. So of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, again the alliteration of those B's, the lone and level, the alliteration of the L's, sands stretch far away. We have that alliteration there again. So some concepts I want you to consider with this poem, Ozymandias. So when we think of like legends and the memory of people, is it the actual person's memory that is permanent, or is it the representation of them? And in this case, it seems to only be the perception of someone else's view on this Ozymandias. All that remains is this artist's perception. So is it our perceptions that are permanent, or is it this actual king's memory? What would his permanence look like if maybe it wasn't a sculptor who mocked him, but maybe someone who loved this Ozymandias. What's left of him now, with this representation of him now, would it be reflective of another side of him? Another thing to think about is just like, what is the relationship between an object itself, the artist, and a work of art? What's that relationship there? And then with that, like, what is the relationship between something that is sculpted and the original work of art? In this poem, it seems to be that it's only the representation of Ozymandias that is permanent, and it is a little ironic in the sense that, you know, the pedestal says, "King of Kings, look on my works and despair," and yet there's nothing. There's nothing in this desert except for this trunkless legs of stone and this shattered visage of someone who has a frown, a sneer, a wrinkled lip. But is that even the true Ozymandias? Was this just kind of someone's vindictiveness coming through? So yeah, there are a lot of things right there to consider. And also something to kind of think about with our modern lives. We have, these social media accounts. We have this almost like holographic version of ourselves. But, maybe kind of think of yourself as Ozymandias. Once you're gone, once everything you've touched is gone, what's going to be left of you, and what is it going to really reflect about you? We kind of have the unique ability to be our own sculptors and artists of what's going to be representative of us once we are gone. Because as Ozymandias points out to us, it's only the artist's work that remains. It's only the translation of the original thing that has survived. It's someone else's perception of Ozymandias that has survived, not Ozymandias himself and not his works, just someone else's perception. So, yeah, this is a poem about permanence, and mainly about permanence, but also about like what is being represented. Is it the original thing, or is it our perceptions of the original thing? So I hope you find this video useful, and if you benefited from it, please make sure to like the video. Most of all, subscribe to the channel and comment down below some of your thoughts on this poem. Are there any parts of it that stand out to you that I didn't mention, or parts of it that you kind of have a differing analysis of? So let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you around.